I'm Wang Zichen, and I will be the program director today. This event is jointly organized by the Chinese Embassy in South Africa and Department of Trade, Industry, and Competition of South Africa, the DTIC. And it's also gained strong support from local governments, business associations, as well as enterprises of both countries. So first, please allow me to extend our gratitude to the following supporting business associations. South Africa-China Economic and Trade Association, Sacetta. Zhejiang Mi-Orient Exhibition. The Business Unity South Africa, BUSA. Black Business Council, BBC. The National African Federated Chamber of Commerce and Industry, NAFCOC. The South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, SABC. Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce and Industry, JCCI, etc. Now, please allow me to introduce the distinguished guest present today. His Excellency Wu Peng, Ambassador of China to South Africa. Honorable Zuko Gottlieb, Deputy Minister of the DTIC. Honorable Bitsa Lenkopani, MEC of the Northwest Province. Distinguished Mr. Dada Morero, Mayor of Johannesburg. And distinguished Mr. Zhang Jian, Mayor of Jin Hua. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthems of the Republic of South Africa and People's Republic of China.
Sisileleli Afrika, maluparadisu ponolayo, izwa imitanazo yetu, kosi silelela China, lusapolwayo, uvela uluka sichama sa Yesu. Usibuluke, sichamasa, Yesu, sichamasa, South Africa, South Africa.
Please be seated. Next, let's watch a promotional video of the conference.
Nothing, not even mountains and oceans, can separate people with shared goals and vision. This is the best description for the enduring friendship between China and South Africa. Entering the new century under the joint leadership of the two heads of state, China and South Africa have embraced a golden era of bilateral relations. China has remained South Africa's largest trading partner for 16 consecutive years, while South Africa has been China's largest trading partner in Africa for 15 consecutive years. In 2024, the bilateral trade volume exceeded $52.4 billion US dollars, accounting for nearly 1/5 of China-Africa trade in whole. China is firmly committed to high standard opening up and has been actively expanding imports from African countries, including South Africa. In recent years, signature South African products such as wine, rooibos tea, and avocados have entered the Chinese market. To date, 68 categories of South African agricultural and food products have gained access to China, earning strong recognition among Chinese consumers with their distinctive flavors and premium quality. China and South Africa share a strong commitment to free trade. In June 2025, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced that through the entry into agreements on economic partnership for shared development, China is ready to expand the zero tariff treatment for 100% tariff lines to all 53 African countries having diplomatic relations with China. This landmark measure is expected to further facilitate the entry of more high-quality and distinctive South African products into the Chinese market, benefiting both countries and peoples. Meanwhile, investment cooperation between China and South Africa has developed rapidly with broad prospects. South Africa is the largest source of actual investment in China among African countries. Naspers invested in Tencent in 2001, marking a milestone in China-South Africa capital cooperation. Aspen brought vital medicines to China, benefiting millions of patients. Not only that, South Africa has become one of China's most important investment destinations in Africa. Driven by the Belt and Road Initiative and the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, China's investment in South Africa exceeds $10 billion US dollars, spanning sectors such as power and energy, infrastructure, automotive manufacturing, mineral processing, logistics, telecommunications, and finance. Chinese invested enterprises in South Africa have created over 400,000 local jobs and made positive contributions to promoting South Africa's economic and social development. Looking ahead, China and South Africa will continue to work hand in hand, further unleash the growth potential of bilateral economic and trade cooperation, and stand as a shining example of solidarity and shared development among Global South countries.
Next, let's welcome His Excellency Mr. Wu Peng, Chinese Ambassador to South Africa, to deliver the opening address for the conference. Welcome.
Good morning, Honorable Mr. Zuko Godlimpi, Deputy Minister of Trade, Investment and Competition. And Your Excellency, my dear sister, Mr. Zodiva Lali, DDG of Turco. Distinguished Mr. Zhang Jian, the Mayor of Jin Hua. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great pleasure for me to attend today's event. On behalf of the Chinese Embassy to the Republic of South Africa, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the co-host, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition of South Africa, DTIC, to all supporting partners, and to every guest present today. I would also like to extend my best wishes to the companies participating in this business matching, and my warm greetings to friends from all of life who have long supported China-South Africa relationship. Today, China-South Africa relations continue to develop rapidly, with mutually beneficial cooperation deepening across various sectors. This has brought significant benefits to our people. Against the backdrop, it's highly meaningful for us to gather here today for this important trade and investment promotion event. First, this is a concrete action to implement the consensus reached by our two heads of states. In August 2023 and September 2024, President Xi Jinping and President Ramaphosa paid a reciprocal visit to each other, elevating our relations to all-around strategic cooperation partnership in the new era, and reaching important consensus on trade and investment. Today's event is about seizing the new opportunities created by the strategic upgrade and giving fresh momentum to practical cooperation. Second, this is a concrete action to support South Africa's goal of achieving industrialization and export diversification. Recently, South Africa presented to China its 2025 to 2029 trade, investment, and industrialization plan, which includes a list of 100 products of export promotion. I told our colleagues in DTIC, I got a list of the products, but I also need a list of a company who are willing to export these products to China, because only we can matching the sellers and buyers, we can promote the products in the list. Today's conference is a direct and positive echo to this initiative, and also an important platform to connect capital, technology, resources, and markets from both sides. I hope that through today's event, companies will find good partners and inject a new impetus into expanding trade and boosting investment. Third, this is a concrete action in building a high-level China-South Africa community with a shared future. Recently, Chinese President Xi Jinping put forward the Global Governance Initiative, GGI. Maybe someone do not know it, but please pay attention to this very important initiative, calling on countries to jointly build a more just and equitable global governance system, drawing wild spirit and a positive response from the international community. Today, starting with the trade and investment cooperation, we aim to turn the shared vision into real action, and to address the global challenges through practical cooperation. China will formally support South Africa's G20 presidency and promote the principles of consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits to advance the common development. We also call on the G20 countries to pay special attention and support Africa's development, and to take solid measures to support Africa's industrialization and modernization in years G20. I would like to remind, in 2013, when G20 was held in Hangzhou, China, G20 announced a declaration that G20 support Africa industrialization. However, 10 years later, this calling did not respond very effectively. People maybe forget about it. So I think this year is the time, because that is the Africa momentum of G20. Ladies and gentlemen, recent years, China has steadily increased the importance from South Africa. Take agriculture as an example. Today, as avocado and dairy products have gained market access to China, 66 categories South Africa agriculture food products can be exported to China. Of course, I'm now working very hard with South African side to open Chinese market to more South African fruit, especially the stone fruit. Maybe we can sign a protocol next month. So your agriculture minister pushed me very hard, give me a lot of pressure. But I think that is a good pressure I would like to do. I give you an example. 90% of South Africans' pecan nuts and half of your macadamia are actually sold to China. Even a lot of Chinese, they don't know when they eat this kind of nuts, actually most of them are from South Africa. These products have enriched the food basket of Chinese consumers, and more important, increased the income of South African farmers and exporters. South Africa is also a key destination for Chinese investment in Africa, with over 200 Chinese relatively scale companies have invested more than $11 billion to this land. I think that is the official statistic. We can actually follow it from the bank account in China and transfer to South Africa. But the actual investment, I think, much higher than that. Their investment covers new energy, automobile manufacture, digital energy, mineral processing, and agriculture processing, etc. They have created more than 400,000 local jobs. Today and here, I would like to make an appeal to my Chinese fellows and Chinese companies, especially the Chinese automobile companies, should accelerate the pace of investing and establishing their factories in South Africa. The time is coming. We always emphasize the want to achieve win-win result. If you really want to take care of the Chinese automobile company, a long-term interest, you must invest in South Africa. African economist called the Kabisa Mojo once said, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is now. China is a super huge market of more than 1.4 billion population, in which roughly above 400 million in the middle income group. In 2024, our national consumption reached $6.5 trillion, making China the world's second largest consumer market, but the largest consumer of agriculture products. By 2035, 10 years later, China's middle-income population is expected to exceed 800 million, and consumption will at least double. Just imagine what tremendous opportunity this will bring to South Africa and other African countries. At the same time, we Chinese believe the African economy has a very bright future. I think that is very important. We not regard Africa just as a destination for charity. We want to be economic partner for all African countries and to grow with you. That also means we can benefit from the partnership with Africa. So we truly welcomed and encourage more South African companies to expand their business in China and share in the benefits of China's development. Ladies and gentlemen, guided by the strategic partnership of our two heads of states, let us join hands and move forward together through practical cooperation projects between enterprises. You know, government cannot do business. Actually, government sometimes, if they do more, maybe bothered the private sector. So I believe the company, the enterprises, you are the key. You are the true player that can make something happen between our two countries. We will bring our bilateral cooperation to greater depths and lift the China-South Africa relationship to higher level. Together, we can create great benefits for our people and make great contribution to the global prosperity and stability, even the world peace. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Your words were really inspiring. Now let's welcome Mr. Zhang Jian, Mayor of Jin Hua City, Zhejiang Province, for his address. Please welcome.
Honorable Deputy Minister, Mr. Zhuko Godlinpi, Excellency Ambassador Wu Peng, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be in South Africa, the beautiful rainbow nation. This is my first time setting foot on the vibrant land. With its long history, diverse culture, warm and sincere people, and also our old friend of Jinhua, Ambassador Wu Peng, we will feel strong sense of familiarity and warmth here. On behalf of SABC, Jinhua Municipal Community and the Jinhua Municipal People's Government, I would like to extend warm congratulations on the grand opening of the conference and my sincere gratitude to the warm reception of South African friends. Take this opportunity, I would like to briefly introduce Jinhua. It has the 4 distinctive features. The first feature is history and culture. Our ancient rice planting site, Sangshan, with a history of over 10,000 years. Wu Opera is over 500 years old. Yesterday, Wu Opera Troupe gave a performance at the University of Johannesburg and will be stage another show in Buffalo City this afternoon. The second feature is specialized markets. EU International Trade Markets is known as the supermarket of the world. If you stay in each shop for 5 minutes, it will take 2 years to visit entire market. The third feature is international logistics. Thanks to the efficient and convenient international logistics system, we have realized the goal of buy global and sell global. The fourth feature is distinctive industries. Maybe your cups and kettles, kitchenware, luggage, agricultural machinery might have been produced in Jinhua. We are now developing solar energy, new energy vehicles, biomedicine, and other emerging industries. In recent years, Jinhua has actively joined the high-quality cooperation of the Belt and Road Initiative and worked to build a all-weather China-African community with a shared future for the new era proposed by President Xi Jinping. Jinhua has established trade relations with all African countries and regions. Its exports to Africa accounting for nearly 1/10 of China's total, ranking first among all prefecture naval cities in Jinhua for 10 consecutive years. The event on China-Africa economic, trade and cultural cooperation, which has been held for 7 consecutive years, was incorporated into framework of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FORCIC. Last year, Xie Sengwen, former ambassador of South Africa to China, and the delegation from Buffalo City also attended the event. Jinhua enjoyed close economic and trade relations with South Africa, mailing South Africa products into the huge Chinese market through Jinhua. Today, Jinhua has 64 enterprises in today's exhibition. We hope to join hands with you to provide more quality products to the vast African market. Meanwhile, our exhibitors are also a purchasing team, which will facilitate the import of South African products into China. We will share the development opportunities of Chinese large-scale market with Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, as African proverbs goes, a friend is someone you share the path with. What we bring this time is not only products, but also sincerity for cooperation. We believe that as long as both sides stand by side and engage in practical cooperation, we will surely receive fruitful results. This November, Jinhua will host the 2025 Forum on China-Africa Economic, Trade and Cultural Cooperation, and we sincerely inviting you to visit Jinhua. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Zhang. Next, let's invite Mr. Kulakani Mate, CEO of BUSA, to share his perspective.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning to welcome you from the South African business community to this very important trade promotion conference. Ladies and gentlemen, I represent an organization called Business Unity South Africa. Business Unity South Africa is the apex business organization representing businesses across a number of sectors and a number of industries. This is an important year for South Africa because the bilateral relations, as has been alluded by His Excellency the Ambassador, between South Africa and China have grown strong over the past 27 years. We have also experienced over this period growing trade between our two countries, with trade by 2023 accounting for roughly $33 billion. This is testament to the good bilateral relations between our two countries. We are also aware, as it has been alluded, that China is South Africa's largest trading partner, and South Africa is also China's largest trading partner on the African continent, with China's trade with the continent increasing in leaps and bounds. We are committed to building very strong relations with South Africa with China as the South African business community. As evidence of this, we will today sign a memorandum of understanding with our counterpart, association of Chinese businesses operating in South Africa. This intended to strengthen our relationships and make sure that enterprises between our two countries can build strong relations and expand growth in their trade and investment relations. I should also mention, Program Director, that the types of products that South Africa exports to China, as was mentioned by His Excellency the Minister, the Ambassador, is increasing. Also, South Africa increasingly exporting value-added products as opposed to merely sending raw materials to China. We are benefiting from the investments of China in this country in various sectors, ranging from infrastructure, rail, ports, renewable energy, etc. This bodes well for our two countries. As I move towards closing, I would like to indicate that, of course, 2025 is the year in which South Africa holds the presidency of the G20, and BUSA and Business Leadership South Africa are hosting the B20 South Africa Summit in November, 18th to the 20th of November. And I would like to take this opportunity to use this platform to send an invitation to Chinese businesses to really join us for the B20 South Africa Summit, which promises to be big, bringing together some 2,500 business leaders from across the G20 community as well as the African continent. We believe this will be an excellent opportunity for business leaders to exchange views, to build stronger relationships together. Finally, It would be amiss of me not to mention the most significant development that has happened recently. The Minister of Home Affairs has announced the introduction of electronic travel authorization. This will make it easy for travelers from various countries to South Africa to be much easier. It has been a sore point for Chinese nationals wanting to visit our beautiful country, the fact that it was not easy to get visas to come to South Africa. This is a wonderful opportunity, and as I sit down, I would like to invite you, and through you, invite as many Chinese nationals, Chinese tourists to come and visit our beautiful country and experience our hospitality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mate. The floor now goes to Mr. Zhang Chaoyang, Chairman of Sacetta, for his speech. Let's welcome.
His Excellency Mr. Wu Peng, Ambassador of People's Republic of China to South Africa. Honorable Mr. Zuku Godlipi, Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition of South Africa. Honorable Mr. Zhang Jian, Mayor of Jin Hua City, Zhejiang, People's Republic of China. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are honored to gather here today to strengthen the economic and trade cooperation between South Africa and China. On behalf of South Africa-China Economic and Trade Association, Sacetta, and the Bank of China Johannesburg branch, I wish today's event a complete success. With China-South Africa relations entering a golden era, more Chinese enterprises are investing, expanding, and thriving in South Africa. The association, Sacetta, now have over 230 members, ranging from major state-owned enterprises to dynamic private companies. From surveys of our members' company, we observe that Chinese enterprises in South Africa have shown promising new trends. Firstly, investment is becoming more diversified and innovation-driven, expanding from traditional mining and infrastructure to green energy, the digital economy, and high-end manufacturing. Secondly, localization strategy have been deepened, with enterprises fulfilling social responsibility and creating thousands of jobs each year, contributing to inclusive growth. Thirdly, policy synergy have also delivered tangible results. For example, special economic zones and the incentive for new energy vehicles are attracting automotive value chain investment. Today, I'm pleased to announce that Sacetta members are preparing a serious key investment and cooperation projects in South Africa. In manufacturing sector, Hisense South Africa and Mamba Cement, both of them will continue to expand their investment, further increasing product capability in South Africa. In infrastructure sector, major Chinese enterprises such as China State Construction, China Energy Engineering, China Communication Construction, and Power China, they will significantly increase their local procurement to help establish a resilient supply chain ecosystem and grow together with South Africa suppliers. In mining sector, Good One will invest 4 billion rand to develop the North Mood Wantelsburg projects. In finance sector, the China-Africa Development Fund will actively participate in the bidding for South Africa's independent transition projects. I'm confident that after today's conference, more Chinese big projects will follow. Distinguished guests, as China and South Africa economic ties have strengthened, the renminbi, China currency, have taken on an increasing important role in supporting bilateral trade and investment. Furthermore, renminbi financing also carry much lower cost compared with the US dollar and other currency. Despite the fluctuation in global financial market, we can observe that renminbi has remained relatively stable. As the sole renminbi clearing bank in South Africa, Bank of China Johannesburg branch now contact 15 countries and regions across Africa, offering a full range of renminbi service. You are welcome to use renminbi in your business activities, as this is not only a practice to reduce cost and mitigate risk, but also a strategic choice to deepen bilateral economic cooperation for mutual benefit outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, the development of China-South Africa trade and investment is a vivid reflection of the shared future between the two countries. Looking forward, Chinese companies in South Africa will work hand in hand with South Africa companies to make a greater contribution to the continued sound development of bilateral relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Zhang. Next, it gives me great pleasure to invite Mr. Elias Monach, President of the Black Business Council, to offer his remarks.
Thank you, Program Director. I will stand on a protocol so that I don't miss my time. Distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Sanbonani, Ni hao. We are meeting at the time when the globe is faced with a number of issues that requires various countries to deal with complex issues around trade, around various aspects that we are then faced with in our respective countries that requires a proper, focused, and dedicated resolution. This 9th China-South Africa Trade Fair is also taking place at a time when South Africa were preparing for the G20 summit, B20, and it's taking place at a time when we are trying to reconfigure various other issues in our respective countries, and particularly around dealing with the trade deficits in our respective countries. Both the ambassador and my colleague Kulegani, they spoke about trade that have increased over the years in our respective countries. But what is still outstanding for us in the Black Business Council and broader in the countries around closing the trade deficit between South Africa and China. And equally so, we need then to talk about technological transfers and skills transfers to South African companies. And equally so, we need then to look at reindustrialization, because if we then look at only the imports of products or exports of products where we don't industrialize and we don't talk about local content and designation, it basically means that in our respective countries, we then continue with a different trade trajectory that will never deliver jobs in our respective countries. And that's the point that for us, we need then to look at the reindustrialization of our respective countries so that we then see the win-win in our lifetime. The number of forums where both China and South Africa will participate, but we need then to forge a greater collaboration and integration in our approach in how we deal with these issues, particularly if we talk about the G20, the WTO, in relation to the tariff classification, how we then deal with complementarity alignment and complementarity around various issues on trade areas. It is within that context, Ambassador, we need then to address number of barriers that South African businesses are faced with when they travel to China in terms of the visa regime that is not friendly. Because when we then travel to China, the requirements for us then to go to China, you are then required then to submit certain information that is not even relevant in terms of increasing trade in our respective countries. The point that we are raising, Ambassador, is that this 9th China-South Africa trade fair must not then be just a talk shop. We must then deal with concrete projects and concrete delivery in terms of addressing those barriers for trade in our respective countries. And equally so, we need then to look at high-tech technological industry so that there is a transfer of skills and knowledge to South African companies. That includes a partnership with South African emerging companies, because part of the issues, Ambassador, that you are raising is that we need then to look at transfer of knowledge. We need then to look at the infrastructure projects so that Chinese companies must partner with South African companies so that we then deal with the reindustrialization and appropriate transfer of skills. So with those few observations, ladies and gentlemen, it is our honor and to be part of this 9th summit today, where we need then to look at deepening and strengthening our prosperity in terms of forging ahead with sustainable and mutual respect for collaboration and partnership in our respective countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the leaders and distinguished VIPs for their speeches, and I believe their words are strongest support for China-South Africa trade and economic cooperation. Next, we will invite Mr. Lester Boer, Chief Director for Investment Mobilization from the DTIC, to make a presentation on China-South Africa trade and investment overview. Welcome on stage.
Good morning and ni hao. Deputy Minister, Ambassador of China to South Africa, the Ambassador of Jin Hua Province, Ambassador of the Mayor of Jin Hua Province, the Mayor of Johannesburg. May I say all protocols observed to those who I have not recognized. And to our Chinese guests, welcome to Namfei. My presentation today will focus on those elements as you see on the screen. They talk about how do we unblock growth in our country and between our two countries? How do we create connectivity between us? And how does this connectivity ultimately lead to a partnership between ourselves? And I've got the clicker in my pocket. Excuse me. The agenda will outline the following elements. Give you an overview of South Africa, particularly for our for our Chinese visitors, but also for our South African counterparts to give a sense of our statistics in our country. South Africa relations in Africa, I think it's very important, particularly as it relates to the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and the opportunity that exists for both trade and investment and for both parties. The South Africa-China relations, as well as to the end why South Africa as a destination for trade and investment. So, as I go through my presentation, you will see the numbers coming up. First of all, we're not a large population in comparison to China. We have about 63 million people, and that probably is 2 major cities in China. Yet we shouldn't look at South Africa from that perspective. We should look at the region, and South Africa as a base to get into the region, and I will talk about it throughout my presentation. What is important for you to note also, we have a very young population in South Africa. And that is to our advantage, not only in South Africa, but also on the continent. Our GDP is not too bad from an African perspective, 410 billion. We've got quite a good land space and a wonderful coast. And on our coast, we do have really good export ports. In 2023, we attracted about $3.4 billion of investments into South Africa. Why is South Africa a leading powerhouse? And these are the following areas. We have a very enabling business environment in comparison to some of our neighboring countries and rest of the other African countries on the continent. So really a good environment for Chinese investors or traders to come in. Our operating cost is still very competitive. Our logistics hub, although it could be improved, is still the best on the African continent. And we have a large, as I indicated, large talent pool of young people within our country that we can take advantage of. Our world-class infrastructure outlines the following things, particularly for the Chinese traders that are coming out here. We've got good rail and road and port facilities. So coming in here, your products could be guaranteed coming through our ports, and we could be delivered through our rail and our road systems to where you are trying to get these products. Whether it be the hinterland of Johannesburg or the regional market is a good way to do. Our ICT connectivity is really good. You know, fiber has been rolling out as wonderfully in South Africa as possible. It's not as fast as in China. I've been to China 4 times this year already. The speed of connectivity in China is unbelievable. But in South Africa, we're getting there. So connectivity is really good for you here when you come, particularly from a South African perspective. And then lastly, the ease of travel. So you can come from China in many ways. You can fly directly from Shenzhen, or you can fly into Hong Kong, or you can fly into any of the other Emirates or Qatar, and you can fly. So connectivity in South Africa is very, very easy. It's not difficult. It's a long flight, but it's not difficult to get in here. I know, 11 hours, 40 minutes for the 4 times I've been there. So you can imagine, I've traveled for 4 days just to get to China and back. So it's quite a long flight, but it's really worth it. I thought it was important to give you a sense of the composition of South Africa from a provincial perspective. We have 9 provinces, and in our 9 provinces, we have investment promotion agencies like ourselves as InvestSA in the DTIC, and they promote various sectors in the country. So it's a very diverse economy, but the provinces also promote their particular special areas that they're responsible for. Many of them are sitting in the audience today, and you'll probably be interacting with them who represent their provinces. But I thought I'd put this slide up there for you to see what our provinces have installed and offer for us. We do have SEZs. We cannot compete in terms of SEZs with China, but certainly our SEZs are growing in numbers within the South African area. Importantly to note, if you're an exporter and you were looking at South Africa as a base for your regional exports, we do have SEZs that are close to the borders in Limpopo and in Mpumalanga. And we also have SEZs on the coastline so that you can debunk your cargo in those particular areas. So our SEZs are geared for that, and these come with various incentives and opportunities for you to take advantage of. Just to give you a glimpse of South Africa in relations to the African continent. So, as you can see on this particular slide, it talks about the importance of South Africa as the most diverse economy in South Africa. The previous slide where I indicated the various provinces would show you all the sectors, and all those sectors are operational in South Africa. It's not just a wish list. They're there. So our economy is very, very diverse, and you can find any particular product or activity happening in our country, from resources to services to manufacturing, a very diverse economy. 50% of all multinationals in Africa are based in South Africa, and that gives you a good understanding. Why are they here? Because of the platform that we have to offer in South Africa. We have got a very supportive ecosystem when it relates to innovation and fintech. So your funding coming into this particular area, your innovative coming to this area is really well taken care of in South Africa. If we look at clean tech, and here we're talking now FDI into clean tech, the growth of wind, solar, hydrogen, and other elements within the clean tech area has grown astronomically. And we have a number of Chinese investors in this particular areas also that have partnered with a number of independent power producers. So China is involved here, and we need more of that growth and participation in this particular area, especially when it comes to the rollout of infrastructure like transmission, like substations in those areas which we want to do, and therefore we're looking for partnership in those particular areas. When it comes to strategic location, as relates to the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, we are very well located for that particular one, to get into this particular market, and I think that is the importance of this particular one. And lastly, as one of the speakers have said, we have many, many multilateral engagements with China that we have. So we go to FOCAC, we've got B20 coming up, we do have lots of relations in the African Union, we're in the WTO, and this we go in there as a partnership from a Chinese perspective. Just to get a little bit more from an African perspective. So if you look at what Africa holds for us, not only the Chinese, but also the Africans. If you look at those numbers that I'm just displaying on the screen right now, quite significant if you look at them. From a GDP perspective, the GDP in Africa will, by 2025, and this is this year, grow by 3.5 trillion US dollars. If you look at the next important element, which is urban cities. There are about 52 urban cities that have more than 1 million people there, which means opportunities for products to go into those particular cities. If you look at the number of consumers within these particular areas, the middle class in Africa is really growing. So about 650 million middle class, it'll be grow by 2030. So the opportunity is immense for that. If you look at the number of people within the African continent, 1.5 billion. If you look at the number of users connecting to the internet, about 90,000 per day. And if you look at then the African consumer spending by 2030 is quite a significant and a staggering number. 2.5 trillion. So South Africa and China has really a good relations that have started quite a number of years ago. And as some of our speakers and the ambassador also indicated, our relationship has really, really grown over the last couple of years, and that we have a really good favored nation status with China. More importantly is that the Chinese president recently announced the opening up of the Chinese market for African products, zero-rated products into Africa. And the ambassador also mentioned we are now working on the protocols. The tariffs have been lowered, but we still need to work on the protocols. And that's what the ambassador, I know, we're moving towards. So one thing to lower the barriers, it's another thing to get the protocols right. So therefore, as he has indicated, the agricultural minister is really pushing them hard to make sure we can get our fruits, our stone fruit, our wines, our rooibos, our aloe, abalone into the Chinese market as easy as possible. Remember, we are competing with the likes of Australia for wine, and our wine is much better than theirs, I can tell you that. We are competing with Argentina for wine. We're competing with Chile for wine. They have zero duties. We need zero duties on those things. Nobody can beat our abalone. That I can tell you. The Chinese will tell you. I've had their abalone that they grow in China. It is rubbery. It's not like, oh, we've got the best abalone in the world. And best conditions. So we certainly want that market open for our products. So the relationship with us is certainly very good. From a trade and investment perspective, I would just want to give you a couple of numbers around it so that you can see other numbers from a trade and investment perspective. You can see what China has invested into South Africa and what we have invested into China. And you can see the companies that have invested in South Africa. We know there's Hisense. If you have a Hisense TV, just remember the Hisense TV is not coming from China anymore. It's being manufactured where? In the Western Cape, because Hisense has a plant there. And this is part of the relationship we have with China. And certainly we want to, as the ambassador has indicated now, attract those OEMs, especially the automotive OEMs, to come and establish themselves here in South Africa. We don't want to buy bike or Haval or BYD cars that come off that rows. We want them to be manufactured here ultimately, so that we also get into the space. But when we want to manufacture them here, we also don't want to bring the batteries in from China, when the raw materials are coming from South Africa to make the batteries. And this is the partnership we want, and we want to grow around that. So there are South African companies that have invested also in China. Recently, when I was there, I know Standard Bank has been there for many years. Recently, ABSA has also moved into the area, and other banks are also going in there. And it's not just about money also, it's also about market intelligence, understanding their clients, and making sure we can create opportunities for our companies to go in there. And this is the investment landscape. The trade landscape looks a bit different. So, and this is what we're talking about. And this is a very important slide for you to note. There is trade between South Africa and China, and it has been growing. And you can see from the slide there. But what is the anomaly? We have a deficit of about 8 billion towards China. But the challenge resides in the makeup of the product. The bulk of the product going from South Africa and from Africa are what? Commodities and raw materials. And the bulk of product that comes in from China are manufactured goods. Look at those percentages, 97 to 3%. This is what our president and the president of South Africa and president of China has been speaking about. And hence we're talking about the 100 products getting into the Chinese market. We need to make sure we change this number around, and we are committed to that from a national government perspective, but certainly committed to that from a DTI perspective, and therefore we have the package that the ambassador was talking about, and we're really driving hard towards opening up China and creating opportunities, not only for Chinese, but also for you, because it is a partnership. So, what are those 100 products? And I know the ambassador has been chasing us because he wants to know who are the companies. And ambassador, we are going to give you the companies. You're working on those. But those are the products that we need to get in there. And these, ladies and gentlemen, these are not the only products. as just a glimpse of what is. So, say, for example, under industrial and mining equipment, there are many things you can do. Those yellow equipment that we do within there are so many things we can do around it. But it's a glimpse of what we are getting into it from a 100 product perspective. So 100 is just a symbolic number. There are more products that we can get into this market. But we are working towards that. So, Ambassador, we are working towards those companies, and we will tell you who they are, and we will make sure that we drive this going forward. From an investment perspective, it's also important to understand these are the areas that we are focusing on. So renewable energy, wind, solar, green hydrogen, and the technologies that go with it. So it's not just about getting Chinese solar panels in there, or masts, or turbines, or we also want, as one of the speakers have said, we also want the technology. We need technology transfer. We need skills transfer. So when you come out here and you establish yourself, we'd like to do the establishment from a skills perspective, from a technology transfer perspective, which is important for us, because that is how we're going to become more industrialized. That is how we're going to we're going to enhance our industrialization, and we can create quality sustainable jobs, which is important for us. But also, renewable energies then create an environment for manufacturers to flourish, because without electricity, you cannot run a manufacturing concern. And that is why it's important for that particular investment in that area. On the automotive side, we spoke about, and there are quite advanced discussions with some of the OEMs that we've had between our minister and the Chinese OEMs during our visits to China. And incidentally, the visits were not leisure visits, they were really business visits. I went in May, I went in July, I got back on last Tuesday also, talking about the opportunities and pursuing opportunities within the Chinese market. And in November, we'll go again to unlock some of the opportunities. It is an important and strategic market for us, and we need to unlock it, not for us as the DTIC, but for our country, and more particularly for you and those Chinese partners and investors that you'd like to do. The ambassador is correct, and some of the speakers are correct. Our role is not to create business. Our role is to create an enabling environment for you to do the business and you to create the jobs, and we need to do that. Advanced manufacturing, those are the other areas. Chemicals, pharmaceuticals are areas we'd like to. We've got good quality companies, Sasol, within this particular area, but we need partnership in these areas. You know, China is really at speed in terms of innovation, and certainly we can learn a lot from them and gain advantage from them. In the aerospace, defense, and medical device area, we're looking at that. And then obviously in the mining and the logistics environment, we need that. And I'm talking about logistics here, roads, battery storage into transport vehicles, development of our ports and growth of our ports. And those are some of the areas. So these are the key ones that we are pursuing and we're driving. And it's part of our China package that the ambassador also knows about. So one of my colleagues spoke about localization. And certainly we talk more around the downstreaming element. So once this investment comes in, they need to have the downstreaming elements. Do we have the companies that are in the machinery space, electronic space, furniture, but building material space, that can partner with these Chinese companies so that we can get localization happening here? We don't want to fully just invite companies to invest here without partnering with South Africans around it. And that's key elements for us also. So you can see that. Integration with the OEM, so I've just given you a glimpse of the Chinese vehicles. They are behind their map there. And lastly, you know, we are creating and building that platform for them to come in here so that we can make sure that we grow our economy and grow these opportunities that are available for all of us. I'm coming towards the end of my presentation. I think 2 slides left. And by the way, that is the coast of Durban, where I hail from. So we have some really good places where you can stay. And actually, I'm going to Durban tomorrow because I haven't been there for a while. But beautiful coastline of Durban. So it's not only Cape Town that has the mountain. Durban also has places, Limpopo, Mpumalanga. We all have wonderful places in our country. And we're selling our country, not just one particular area and region. So there are 10 reasons why we say you need to invest into South Africa. Number 1, vibrant emerging market. It's a vibrant emerging market. Despite the fact of all the naysayers and all these things we do. If we didn't, we wouldn't have a room as an audience and people fill this room like this. We didn't have all the associations being part of this, and we thank them for inviting their members to this. We do have a vibrant market. We have a most diverse and developed economy, as you know. I showed you the slide of all the provinces. We certainly have a presence of large multinationals, as I spoke about there. A progressive constitution, independence. So your projects are safe here. If you want to dispute it, there are ways to dispute these things, and there's no problem. The ambassador will tell you that. He's there to support you also. But you have no challenges as far as that is concerned. Access to global markets. I told you about the flights. You can fly directly into Shenzhen. It takes a long time, but you get here in various flights, and you can decide how you want to go. You can even go through Ethiopian Airline. Can you imagine? So there are many ways you can get from here into China. The last 6, abundant natural resources. But abundant natural resources, not just to be exploited, but to be beneficiated. We want to make the batteries here, not only for cars, but also for those big power stations and big solar and wind farms. We need to make it here. And we can partner with the Chinese around that from a technology perspective. And we have to partner with our African brothers and sisters, because we don't have all the critical minerals here. We have to go to Tanzania, go to Zambia, Zimbabwe, and in that partnership, we can become the hub to supply the world with batteries. But we have to do it in partnership, and we need to move at speed with this. The possibilities are there, and we can do it. World-class infrastructure and logistics, as you've seen. Let us not talk about our advanced banking services we have here with the various banks. The only thing that China is beating us, as far as that is concerned, is WeChat. Because through their WeChat, you can also pay for things. And then they have Alipay also, which you can pay for. So let's hope that we can get that. So, Ambassador, you know that we have WhatsApp here, right? And our WhatsApp is still not getting to that payment system here. But to change those around, we need to see how we can bring those Alipays, those JD.coms, those Taibos, and everybody to come here and partner with us so that we can grow our e-commerce also in this area. And we can get the speed at which you see in China of how things are delivered around that. And those are the areas around fintech and economics we can grow. So those are the opportunities. Data centers for Huawei and, Ambassador, Americans are here. They're doing Amazon is here, Microsoft is here. The challenge is out there to you. Bring those big fintech companies out here. Let's partner with them. We want the data centers here. And that area we're talking about there. Young and eager, you can see. I'm no more young, but I'm eager. I'm eager, and we have them here. And then we have an excellent College of Life. I showed you some pictures around that. So we look forward to partnering with you, and thank you very much for attending. And we look forward to the B2Bs we have later with you. And there is an actor I used to like watching, and I love his movies. It's called Dead Poets Society, Robert Williams. And he's teaching some young students to become poets. And one of the things he says there is, save the moment, seize the day, save the moment. Seize the day, save the moment. Today you will have B2Bs. Seize the B2Bs and save the moment. So thank you very much for listening attentively. There are some URLs so you can see where you can get more information. There's Investors A website. There's an Ease of Doing Business website. Incidentally, I also run the Energy One-Stop Shop, which helps IPPs to get their products in South Africa as quickly as possible. So there's a website for the Energy One-Stop Shop. Lastly, this is one of the things I always want to say to when we have these presentations. Often we get complaints, oh, it wasn't this, it wasn't that, it wasn't that, but we never get to get the feedback physically. So we have created a QR code here. Please take a picture of the QR code. Don't do it now because you haven't had your B2Bs. Take a picture of it, and once you're done with your interactions with everybody, rate us. Tell us how we have done, where we can improve, so that we can make this better, the interactions better. I will not share my presentation with you if I don't see your name on that QR code. That is my guarantee for you. So please fill this out, scan it, fill it out so we can improve our services to you. Lastly, those are some of the details, which is on the present of all the colleagues in the various sectors responsible for the various sectors within the DTIC in our team and the Investors A team. And lastly, I thank you very much for attending, and sheshe.
Thank you, Mr. Boa, for the thorough and comprehensive presentation. I believe that some of you have discovered opportunities for cooperation. And next, let's invite Honorable Mr. Zuko Gotlempi, Deputy Minister of the DTIC, for a closing speech. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Ambassador Wu Peng, the Mayor of Jin Hua City, and the Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, the Chairman of Sacetta, the President of Business Unity South Africa, but I see the CEO is the one that is here, the President of BBC. Also a special greeting to Mamulindiwe Zulu, the former minister, and your team. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. I am indeed honored to be here with you today. Firstly, I would like to take this opportunity to thank business leaders and delegates from both China and South Africa for the positive and proactive spirit they have brought for organizing and supporting the China-South Africa Trade and Investment Promotion Conference, and to later open the 9th China-South Africa Trade Fair. The South Africa and China relationship presents a significant example of South-to-South cooperation, characterized by deep economic ties and a growing strategic partnership. South Africa's long-standing strategic trade and investment partnership with China has played a significant role towards South Africa's economic growth, job creation, and overall development. There has been a steady flow of investment by Chinese companies since the announcement of President Ramaphosa's investment mobilization drive, with investments increasing over time. The FDI markets put the inward figures between 2003 to 2025, reaching over $13.14 billion US, while the FDI outflow to China is $7.8 billion US in the same period. We have seen Chinese companies expanding into growth areas such as renewable energy, green hydrogen, energy storage, infrastructure, logistics, and the digital economy. Chinese companies operate across various sectors in South Africa, including the automotive sector, through the example of companies such as Bike, Futon, BYD, Chery, and GWM. In technology and electronics, we have Hisense, Huawei, and ZTE. In mining and resources and new energy infrastructure, we have the example of Yangtze Optics Africa Cable, the China National Building Material Group. Of course, Alistair has already presented what seems to be a structural problem in the quality of the relationship between South Africa and China. The terms of trade in which South Africa imports high-value goods from China but exports only raw commodities as the dominant items on our export basket is a challenge that we need to attend to. But that challenge presents, of course, an opportunity that could be leveraged by both the state and the private sector. In the first instance, the question arises, what is it that the South African private sector is willing to do in order to strike strategic partnerships with the Chinese private sector in technology and in innovation? The second question that arises is, has the South African private sector done a proper market analysis of the Chinese consumer economy to have an understanding of the segments of the market that they could potentially build their innovative capacity in South Africa in order to feed into on the other end. And that question, of course, can be answered through a strategic collaboration between the DTIC and organized business in South Africa to better understand the dynamics of the Chinese economy, at the back of which we could build this capability. Our bilateral trade and investment exchanges between both countries have been expanding continuously over the past 2 decades, with China being South Africa's largest trading partner to date, with, of course, the qualifier that this increase in the scale of trade is principally dominated by raw commodities from the South African side. The advancement of the relationship between China and South Africa is, of course, due to the all-round strategic cooperative partnership and establishment of high-level people-to-people exchanges, which has solidified this crucial bilateral relationship. I'm indeed encouraged by the enthusiasm and interest expressed to strengthen and to continue deepening our economic relationships between both our countries by the signing of the MOU on strengthening cooperation to promote China-South African trade and investment between Sacetta and the South African Business Chamber, as well as signing of contracts between Chinese companies and their South African counterparts. This is, of course, reflective of the evolving nature of the relationship between South Africa and China. As the South African government, we remain committed to creating a business environment that is conducive to supporting trade and investment. Our key focus areas for investment attraction are in mining, in manufacturing, in the services sector, in energy, in the green economy, in pharmaceuticals, and in infrastructure. The renewed focus on balancing the trade relationship, attracting further Chinese investment in manufacturing, and capitalizing on the opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area will be vital to shaping a more equitable and mutually beneficial future. And to emphasize the point that was made by Alistair here, one of the major proposals that South Africa is advancing with our counterparts in Africa is to build a battery manufacturing corridor in especially the Southern African region, at the back of which we can improve Africa's competitive edge in battery manufacturing, especially in the context of the global green transition. One of the major challenges we're facing today is, whilst Africa sits in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to leapfrog its technological advances and its manufacturing advances, we run the risk of exporting too much of our critical minerals to the rest of the world for purposes of stockpiling, such that in the final analysis, we will be the consumers of the very products that we have in abundance in Africa. And therefore, in the conversation we are having with Chinese firms, we are quite serious about striking a partnership that moves us away from being the hub of assembling automotive products, but to being a hub that produces significant components that go into not just the automotive consumption that Africa is responsible for, but for the overall automotive consumption across the world. And this, of course, will be determined by the extent to which we can demonstrate agility between the African private sector and African governments in creating the possibilities on the ground for that kind of innovation to take off. Now, as it was reflected in the presentation on the board, South Africa is full of opportunities to explore across key sectors, and I encourage all of us to work together to collaborate and build stronger partnerships to seize the opportunities available to attract the investments necessary for our country's growth and development. And in conclusion, I would also like to take this opportunity to invite you to join the South Africa Investment Conference, which will take place in March 2026, which also provides a platform to explore dynamic investment opportunities and connect with key industry leaders and learn about new initiatives that are available. The conference is a series of 5 successful South Africa investment conferences concluded in March 2023, which has exceeded the target of 1.2 trillion rands that the president had set, with a total of 1.5 trillion of investment commitments and creating a platform for government and investor engagement. And of course, the challenge still remains. Investment commitments are one thing, but investment hitting the tarmac is a different thing altogether. And one of the issues that we have to solve in South Africa is our capacity collectively to build the infrastructure, both from a private sector agility point of view and government policy point of view, to translate investment commitments to investments hitting the ground. One of the challenges we have, and I'm directing this to the South African private sector, is the example of the construction sector, for instance. We have lost the capacity that South Africa had built over years in the construction sector. Very few people know that some of the early big buildings that were built in Dubai were built by South African construction firms. But that capacity has dwindled over years, and some of our major groups have now gone into business rescue and are facing liquidation. So the challenge therefore arises. What is it that the South African private sector is willing to do to retain and improve South Africa's competitive capacity in sectors such as construction, in pharmaceuticals, and in the engineering services as a whole, so that we could use that capacity to leverage the opportunities of partnerships in technological transfers between South Africa and China. It is all good and well for me to stand here and make speeches about technological transfers, but it's a different thing altogether if I cannot point at engineering firms that can receive that capacity from China and replicate it in South Africa on the other end. On a different day, I will tell you a story about why the last 80 years since World War II can be broken into two parts. The first one is about the reconstruction of Europe. The second one is about the resurgence of China. And what is it about those two periods that tell us about the ability of countries to leverage existing capabilities in other countries in order to leapfrog their historical development? And if we have any lesson to learn from China, it is precisely that they've been able to shrink what has been achieved by other countries over 2 centuries or a century into what can be achieved in a 50-year period. And all of us in Africa have to ask ourselves the question, therefore, both from a leadership point of view and from a private sector point of view, do we have what it takes, both from an intention point of view and an ethic point of view, to replicate the model that the Chinese have given to humanity over the past 50 years? With those remarks, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your concluding speech, Your Honorable. Now we're going to move to the second part of the ceremony, the signing ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, the fruitful achievements of China-South Africa cooperation are embodied in each and every cooperative document. We're glad to hear that some of them will be signed right here today. Sacetta, representing Chinese enterprises in South Africa, will sign a memorandum of understanding with BUSA on promoting communications and cooperation between enterprises of China and South Africa. Furthermore, we have gathered a group of Chinese and South African enterprises with cooperative intent to sign cooperative documents here. Some of them are exhibitors at this forthcoming trade fair, and some of them have traveled afar along with Jin Hua delegation from China to explore South African market potential. And some of them are members of Sacetta that has been exploring and rooted in South African market for a long time. Now, let's welcome the first group of signing partners. They are Sacetta and BUSA, signing the MOU on promoting exchanges and cooperation between enterprises of China and South Africa, Sani Southern Africa, and Montagu Mining Equipment, who will sign a strategic cooperation agreement on distribution, and China State Construction Engineering Corporation South Africa, and AfriSum South Africa, who will also sign a strategic cooperation agreement on procurement of construction materials from South African local market. Welcome. After you're done, please face the photographers. Please stand again. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please stay. Next, we have the second group of signing enterprises. They are Zhejiang Yunwei Industry Company and South Africa Exotic 375 Close Cooperation, signing a letter of intent for cooperation on metal and fiberglass ladder. Yeah. Okay, please exchange. All right, please face the photographers. Congratulations. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now we have the third group of signing enterprises. They are Zhejiang AM Power Company and Black Magic Tech from South Africa, signing letter of intent for cooperation on lithium battery. The second is Tianjin Tianwei Food Company and Tiger Brands from South Africa, signing letter of intent for cooperation on tomato paste. And the third is Guangzhou Gelandi New Material Company and Top Quartz from South Africa, signing letter of intent for cooperation on quartz stone and solid surface. Let's switch documents. All right, thank you. Let's stand and face the photographers. Congratulations. Thank you. Watch your step, please. to see a lot of groups of companies that have reached new agreements now, and we wish their cooperation will be better in the future. Now we proceed to the ribbon cutting ceremony for the 9th China-South Africa Trade Fair. Let's invite Ambassador, His Excellency Ambassador Wu Peng, Deputy Minister Zuko Gottlieb, and His Excellency Ambassador Zodwa Lally from Durkol, Mayor Dana Marrero of Johannesburg, and Mayor Zhang Jian, as well as Chairman Han Jianjun of Zhejiang Mirroring Exhibition Company to come onto the stage for the ribbon cutting and extend their blessings for the success of the trade fair. Welcome. Okay, please. Our leaders, let's cut the ribbon. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, leaders. Let's stay on stage for photographers. And next, we're gonna have a photo shoot session, and the VIPs in the first row, please all come up to the stage for. And Ambassador, please remain on the stage. We're gonna have a photo shoot session.
Oh, photograph?
Yeah, we're gonna take photographs. Thank you. And all the VIPs, please come on.
Come in.
VIPs in the first row. Let's take a group photo.
I hear of you, all right? We must try to technology transfer. Hey,
Ladies and gentlemen, please look at me while